Hi friends, it's Amber. Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for today's video because we are going to talk all about my 2022 planner system in review. For the past 5 or 6 years, I've primarily been a bullet journaler. I've kind of avoided all predated planners and notebooks. But this year was the year I tried a lot of different things. The planner community really got me bad. I found myself going down a lot of Reddit dark holes and just following a lot more Instagram accounts and was just curious about all the different books out there. Also, if you watch my life update video, then you know that I had a lot of life pivots this year, and I think that as someone who really loves putting pen to paper, whenever I experience a lot of transition or shifts in my personal life, I always end up bringing that into my planning somehow. So it's no surprise that I tried a couple of different systems and bopped around between a few books this year. So I figured the easiest way to do a planner and review session would be just to bring you into the actual planners that I used, do a couple of flip throughs, and show you how I used each book, what my system looked like, and how it evolved over the year. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through all of the planners that I tried. This is just a few of them. The different books, the different paper types, the different layouts and setups that I did, how they worked for me, and then let you know which ones I will be bringing into my 2023 planner system. My goal for next year is definitely to bop around a little less and just to keep things as simple and compact as possible. I think that was my biggest takeaway for the year, was that I like a nice, simple, pared down and compact system. So I'm hoping that I've nailed down my 2023 system and that it's gonna stay for the foreseeable future. Anyway, without further ado, let's go to the desk and flip through these planners. Before I jump in, a few things before I get started. One, I know that there are some people who are just multiple planner people. They enjoy using multiple books simultaneously. I'm not that person. So all of these were in my rotation at some point in the year, but I was never using all of them at the same time. So if you clicked into this video and you were like, how did you use 5 planners plus simultaneously and still find time to update them all? I didn't. These were all in the mix at different points during this year. So what I'm going to do is take you chronologically through my year in planners and notebooks. I have a hot cup of tea. Grab something warm, grab your planner or your journal, and let's jump into this. So at the beginning of the year, I set up a bullet journal in this charcoal / slate gray. I don't know exactly what they call the color. A5 size Leuchtturm 1917 notebook. This has kind of been my go-to bullet journal notebook for, I feel like, forever. I had been bullet journaling since around 2017, I think, maybe 2016. And Leuchtturm had always been my favorite notebook to settle into. I loved getting a new book every year, adding stickers to the cover. For the last, oh my goodness, I don't even know how many years, have had a sticker on my bullet journal that says, "Give me space," and I feel that very deeply. So this was your pretty standard bullet journal setup. I did a little title page. I think this sticker is from a See Amy Draw order. I love an index, so I was indexing, and I was in this book until around February. So one thing I did in this journal that I really loved was put in my 2022 vision board, which, a lot of this did not come to fruition because this year took a lot of twists and turns, but I feel like just having this in my notebook was such a good idea, something that I would definitely want to do again in the new year. So then I got into my future log, which I didn't really use a ton. Again, I was only in this book for a couple of months. And then this I really loved. I do a word of the year every year. My word of the year for 2022 was expand. And I definitely feel like I lived that word, maybe even a little too much in 2022. So I wrote the word just in gray mild liner across 2 pages. And then I did the definition and things that I wanted to put in practice to really live that word out. I did a goal spread. And then I got into the monthlies. My monthly has always been simple. I just do one big 2-page calendar because this notebook is so big. It's A5 size. I would write any notes or tasks running down the side and just jump in through the day. For the most part, my bullet journal in this book looked like this, where I would do this weekly spread with a little side vertical horizontal-ish weekly calendar where I would put any appointments, deadlines, things like that. I would do a brain dump for every week there. And then dailies, where I would do the day, the date, and whatever I had to get done in a brain dump style. In February, I did switch up my weekly spread, or I attempted to. So I did this spread where instead of writing the whole calendar out, sorry, this is my monthly actually. Instead of doing that traditional calendar, I did every week as an individual row and tried to make that work. I did this habit tracker on the side where like these were the habits down here. Each of them had a corresponding letter. The letters are up here, and if I did it, I would put a check. If I didn't, I would put a dot. And so yeah, so went the bullet journal. I just eventually was ready to try something new. This book wasn't working for me. I think the biggest issue was this year I was moving around a lot in the first half of the year, especially as a freelancer, and I needed something that's just way more portable than an A5 book. So this book has kind of just been relegated to random notes and testing out new fountain pen inks, which is really fun. I got really into fountain pens this year. I will probably keep this at my desk just to scribble, try new inks, try new pens, that kind of thing. This was the planner that launched it all, and then I realized I needed something a little bit more compact to accommodate my lifestyle. In came the standard size Stalogy. So there is an Etsy shop, an awesome Etsy shop who was offering and still offers Stalogy notebooks, which only come in A5, B6, A6, and I think B5 size, and to cut them down into a standard traveler's notebook size. So it's basically an A5, but it is slightly thinner. And I thought that that would be great because it would answer my problem of wanting something that's more compact and more portable. And I loved this notebook. I set it up just like any other bullet journal. I had my index, and I would do weeklies that are obviously very similar to the setup of a Hobonichi Weeks. Shocker, Hobonichi Weeks will pop up later in this video. So I would do these weeklies where I would do my appointments and deadlines and things like that over here. A brain dump, tracking packages, and this weekly worked really well. I set up monthlies in this book as well that are just really similar to my standard bullet journal monthly setup, and I loved this book for a while. So this notebook is a half-year Stalogy, so it only has half of the pages of the standard Stalogies, which have 365. This one has like 160 something. I did number all of my own pages in the book. I thought doing this would annoy me, but it was really fast. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. I switched over in February. I wrote a lot of dailies, weeklies, monthlies, all of that. And then eventually I decided I liked this size so much. I didn't want to run into a situation where I was going to have like 3 of these because it only had a certain amount of pages, and I was going through pages relatively quickly, especially since it's so narrow. Things that you may have fit on one full A5 size page, you're gonna have a little bit of cutoff with this size. So I got another standard Stalogy, but this one is the full 365 pages, and it was the exact same setup. I also like brought over some spreads, so I brought over a mini version of that vision board. A lot of the I wrote out the index, a lot of those same trackers, all of those are over here for me to fill in. And then I did that same thing with the habit trackers and my monthly. This is that same weekly setup, appointments and deadlines here, brain dump here, incoming packages. I loved implementing a little bit of washi, but again, this is that same weekly setup, and this is when I started to use a little bit of stickers as well. This was me planning out a video, planning out some social content. Again, those Coffee Monster Co. stickers, which I think are so cute. But eventually I did find the narrowness of this notebook just a little bit too limiting, and it wasn't worth the portability wasn't worth what I was losing. So I sunset this one and brought in the B6 Stalogy. So you will quickly learn that I am a Stalogy girl. I just love these notebooks. I love the way they feel. I love the thin paper. I love the way that they handle gel pens and fountain pens and highlighters. This is just such a great notebook to me, and I really love the B6 size. So this cover probably looks familiar. These are the same paper covers inside. So this is the paper itself is actually just the papers that they sell at paper stores, which a lot of people use as wrapping papers. I've used them to make planner covers forever. This cover is an A5 Midori clear cover that I just kind of cut and taped, which is a really botched job actually, so that it would fit standard size because I didn't have a standard size cover. This cover is a clear Lauren Phelps design cover, which I love Lauren's covers. They're amazing quality. She has so many size options and they're just incredibly durable and have lasted me and done me really, really well. This is the B6 Stalogy. Again, I set it up just like a bullet journal because I've always been a bullet journal girl. So I set up a little quote. These are some like transparent stickers that I picked up, I think on jet pens. I did my index, and then it was literally the exact same system. I would do my dailies with a 2 days on one page so I could really maximize the space in this notebook, which was really working well for me. I was doing dailies as well as taking notes, just standard bullet journal stuff. And I love this notebook, and I think that if you are interested in trying out Japanese notebooks but don't want to commit to the Tomoe River paper, the Stalogy paper is a great in-between. You get that thinness and the richness in the way that it handles pens, but it's a little bit less finicky in my opinion. This is how I was setting up my monthlies. I was really getting into my washi taping, and I was also trying really hard to implement my monthly habit tracker. This one went really well. I tracked throughout the entire month, and then I would do some like other weekly habits that I would track like per each week. But I would do these 2-page habit trackers so that I didn't have to flip the book to update my tracker. And I think what I learned through doing one of these trackers month over month is that monthly habit tracking just doesn't work for me. It is much more effective for me to track things on a weekly basis and to have a couple of daily habits that I'm checking in on right on my daily spread. That way I feel in the moment more connected to the thing that I'm actually trying to build up and consistently do. And also I don't get so like lost in the flipping back. I think that there are some things that work well for me to keep at the front of a book and flip back to like a quarterly goal or a monthly spread. But for something that I'm effectively doing every day, to only have that stuck in a monthly section just wasn't working. So I'll talk about what my solution was to that shortly. But I've been using this one throughout the year, pretty much in the same way. I did switch up my daily style at one point just to help me plan more on like a schedule basis, where I would do these columns where I have like, these are meetings, appointments, things like that on this side, and this is like my daily spread where I'm writing notes, task, all that stuff. I also started doing these monthly reflections at the end of every month where I would have these like 5 sections. I'd write a highlight, what I read, any challenges, what went well in October or the next month's intentions, goals, whatever. And I would always make the colors, like the washi and the mild liner that I use, it was the same setup every month, but I would make it match the monthly for the following month. And I don't think it's necessary for you to have a useful planner to do all the stickers and the decorating and things you see on Instagram and Pinterest. But I do think for you to use something consistently, it has to be something that you enjoy looking at, that makes you feel excited to be in, so that you're consistent with picking it up. And things like this just help me with that. So that's that. This was a monthly. I kept that going, but around, I would say July, I started wanting something, again, more portable, even more basic, that just kind of held the highlights and allowed me to do just some brain dumping on the go. And so I picked up in July this Hobonichi week. So these two I was using in tandem, but this system just really worked well for me. And eventually, because of this, I stopped doing weeklies in this bullet journal. So this Hobonichi Weeks was just, I first thought I was going to hate this notebook because when I originally tried a Weeks, I absolutely hated it. I hated the paper. I hated the system. I thought it was too small. But now I don't know how I have not always had a Weeks in my system. So if you've seen a Hobonichi Weeks before, you know it is a very basic notebook that focuses on weekly spreads. So you do get this annual 2022-2023 spread. I did not use this as a 2022-2023. I use this to track birthdays for the entire year. And then you jump right into your monthlies. I'm not a big monthly planner because I keep a lot of monthly stuff in like my Google Calendar or in my phone. But I did enjoy just brain dumping what was happening each month into these monthly spreads. So this one looks super basic because this was really just a pen and paper to get down to business type planner where I would just note any meetings, events, big things coming up for the month, and all of the months are grouped together so you can just do them all back to back. Further down the line, I started to add add like a little bit of washi just to like add some pizzazz. Like I said, you need to want to be excited to be in your planner. And this is what the weeks looked like when I first started to use them. A horizontal weekly on one side, and you get a blank grid page on the opposite side. So I would sometimes like divide these because you have little markers here that tell you where you can draw a column and write, but I would just write like meetings, appointments, deadlines, places I had to be, people I had to talk to, they all go in here. And then I was using this side page to write like incoming packages, to do a brain dump, just to all the stuff that I was doing in my bullet journal, basically I brought into my weeks. And this has been working so well for me. Here's one that is a little bit more filled out and busy. So this is where my brain dump is. These are appointments and meetings and packages I'm tracking. Sometimes I'll do a little section for next week if I need to. Here is a spread where I did do that column. So I didn't write anything in the column, but normally what I do in this side column is I will put in like a meal plan. So I'll just do breakfast, lunch, dinner for the entire week so I know what I'm gonna be eating for that week. These little habit trackers worked so much better for me than doing the monthly trackers where I would eventually just kind of lose steam on them. And then in the back of the weeks, you do get a section with just blank grid paper that you can use for notes, you can use for daily planning, you can use as a bullet journal. There's just a lot of options for how you can use it. So I was using them for dailies for a bit to see how I liked it in that size, and knowing that I liked the standard size Stalogy, I knew that the narrowness would be okay, but not my favorite to work in. So I definitely don't see me doing long-term dailies in something like this, but I did really love it for taking notes, I use some of the back like spreads they have for testing out inks and different fountain pen inks and gel pen inks to see how they handle this paper, all of that good stuff. So I really enjoyed this book. It was great too because it was just so portable. It's so small. I think altogether there are 75 note pages in the back plus your weekly, so this is not like a chunky book, and it also uses that Tomoe River paper, so it's naturally very, very thin. And yeah, I loved it. These two together worked really well for me, and I love the Stalogy so much, and I've loved bullet journaling for so long, but some of my priorities have shifted a little bit, so I'm not sure. I'm saying I'm not sure, like being cheeky, like I don't know what video I'm filming next and what content is going to be in that video, but if this one is coming with me, but I know actually a different version of this one is coming with me. All right, so those are all of the notebooks and systems that I tried out in 2022. Let me know if any of them are similar to systems that you tried out. What was your go-to system this year? How is it changing for next year? I'm going to work on my 2023 system video, and I'm really excited to show you guys what I'm bringing with me into the new year. That's it for my 2022 planner and review flip through. Let me know what you thought. This is that Stalogy I showed you, just without that cover that I had made for it. The Give Me Space sticker did make it back for another year. I haven't ordered one for 2023, but I feel like it's just such a tradition. And like if Beyonce made the cover, so should the Give Me Space sticker next year. I don't know, we'll see. But I'm really looking forward to posting my 2023 lineup video, so look up for that soon. It'll be on the channel shortly. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe so you don't miss future videos. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.